This is the internet's weirdest obsession, doing dumb stuff on camera for clout. From dumping ice water onto ourselves to literally inhaling cinnamon and almost dying. Why do we do this? Why did we watch? And more importantly, why do these challenges haunt our group chats and our digital footprints today? This is your crash course on internet challenges, the good, the bad, and prime examples of Darwinism, natural selection, baby. Let's go. Hi everyone, my name is Tiana True, but you can call me T. Before we explore the depths of the internet, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. Okay, an internet challenges is basically when one person or more does something funny, stupid, or slightly dangerous on camera, and then they call out their friends to do the same. Sometimes it's for a good cause, other times it's because we're easily peer pressured, and they usually blew up on social media such as Vine, YouTube, Instagram. Rest in peace, Vine. And for a short period of time, the internet is participating, or judging from the sidelines. After like 2 weeks, everyone forgets and moves on to the next one. This was the beginning of the end of our attention spans. I like to think all those years of us playing Chubby Bunny prepared us for internet challenges. Chubby Bunny dates back to like the 1950s, but it had a resurgence in the 1990s up to this present day due to YouTube and summer camps. If you're not familiar with it, it's when participants fill their mouth with as many jumbo marshmallows as they can, while saying Chubby Bunny in between each marshmallow. This challenge almost feels like a rite of passage as a child. Those birthday parties in middle school, we wasted so many marshmallows because no one could actually get them down. You just spit them all out and it looked like this gross goo. Why were we doing that? It was so wasteful, especially when it was 2008. We were in a recession. Marshmallows probably cost what, like $15? Also, it's a huge choking hazard and we're all just kids doing it at summer camp and birthday parties. Later in the early 2000s, we see the Saltine cracker challenge come to fruition. This seemingly simple challenge, eat 6 saltines in under a minute without water, debuted in early internet forums of YouTube. Turns out human saliva is no match for the dryness of saltine crackers. Unlike Chubby Bunny, there was actually a limit on how many things you were stuffing into your mouth. This was one of the first popularized internet challenges, so it kind of paved the way for the rest of them to come. The cinnamon challenge. Originally gaining traction in the 2000s like the saltine cracker challenge, it resurfaced in the 2010s when YouTuber creators like Glotion Green took it on. Watching YouTube creators cough up cinnamon dust like they were dragons was just peak entertainment back in the day. This challenge, simply put, you take a spoonful of cinnamon, you eat it, and you try to swallow it, and you fail because cinnamon is insanely dry and it's a powder. Our throats were not made for this, but this was one of the first internet challenges I remember truly taking the internet by storm. Like almost everyone knew what it was. I was in middle school when I attempted to do my own with my friend Danielle, and I like to brag that we successfully completed the challenge. Just kidding, we didn't even last a second. Cinnamon flew everywhere in our kitchen, that's for sure. The cinnamon challenge got to be so big that according to a study by University of Miami professor Dr. Steven Lipschultz, published in the medical journal Pediatrics, as cinnamon challenge views increased on YouTube, calls to poison control centers and emergency room visits also saw a significant spike. Turns out cinnamon in your lungs, scientifically speaking, is a terrible idea. One thing I remember about Glozel's is that she literally used a ladle to do the challenge instead of just a spoon. You just want enough to coat your throat, but she did so much. Obviously, it went viral. In 2011, the US American Association of Poison Control received only 51 calls regarding cinnamon. And then in 2012, that number jumped to 178, with 30 of those requiring medical attention. And speaking of middle school, actually, I think I remember kids trying to bring in cinnamon to the lunch tables, and the noon duties or the yard duties were just having none of that. They were literally confiscating cinnamon in middle school. Also, another middle school memory I have of challenges is the salt and ice challenge. This challenge was like a built-in science experiment. Basically, you take salt, you put that anywhere on your body. Typically, participants would put it on the forearm, and then you would take an ice cube and put it directly over the salt sitting on your body part. Why was this a built-in science experiment? Well, salt basically lowers the freezing point of water, meaning that when ice is applied, it burns the skin. And the worse the burn, the more viral the video went. I don't know. I specifically have a memory from 8th grade where I was in band and we were going on a band trip to play at Disneyland. And I live in the Bay Area, so a huge group of band kids are driving down from Northern California to Southern California. And we had to make a few pit stops at a diner. And while we were at the diner, there were 2 boys, and they quickly became the main source of entertainment on that trip because everyone was spectating this group of boys do doing the Saltine Ice Challenge. And that's my memory of it. This challenge led numerous hospital visits for second-degree burns. Schools and parents had to issue warnings, proving once again, common sense is lost on the internet. I can't believe we were intentionally burning ourselves. Okay, this next one I have here is the banana and Sprite challenge, where you needed to drink a can of Sprite and eat a whole banana. This combination would induce participants to vomit, whereas I just want to vomit hearing about eating those two things together. This one was definitely less popular amongst the internet just because I don't think people wanted to put their bodies through that. This is a prime example of us really pushing our bodies on the internet. Now to get into one of my favorite challenges. I don't really know if you can quite call it a challenge, but planking. Planking simply involved lying as stiff as a board with your stomach on the ground in a random location. I think this is one of my favorites because of how easy it was and how low risk. People got so creative with where they were planking. Sometimes you would do it upside down, sometimes you would do it on a wall, a staircase. Celebrities and even corporate brands joined in, but you know, people obviously had to take it too far by planking in more dangerous locations, like on a ledge or on a moving vehicle. I consider planking as one of the first true internet fads because of how mainstream it got, continuing to pave the way for viral internet challenges. I mean, there was literally the Dwight Howard Adidas planking campaign. I think that was a huge indicator that challenges were going mainstream. However, the history of planking can date as far back as 1984. They had called it face dancing at the time, and it was two boys at a baseball game in the state of Washington, and they decided to lay face down and see if anyone would react. That is kind of hearsay, but the first recorded experience of planking is in 1994 when Tom Green lied face down to perform a stunt called Dead Guy for cable TV. Obviously, no one knew it at the time. They were all in on the trend before the trend was even a trend. Later in 2013, we then see the Harlem Shake. This meme started when a group of Australian teenagers uploaded a video dancing to the song Harlem Shake. Before the beat drops, you're just kind of slightly dancing, or there's only one person dancing while the rest of you remain still. And then when the beat drops, the clip changes and everyone's doing the most outlandish things. Suddenly, the world decided that standing still before breaking into chaotic costumed dance moves was peak internet culture. At the height of the Harlem Shake's popularity, videos were being uploaded to YouTube every single day doing the trend. It's so weird knowing that in the original version, Filthy Frank is featured in it. The success of the videos was in part attributed to the anticipation of the breakout moment and short length, making them very accessible to watch. The Washington Post explained the meme's instant virality by referring to the jump cuts, hypnotic beat, quick setups, and half-minute routines. It was so easy for people to reproduce. It was a super accessible meme, exactly like planking. There wasn't much risk to take. You just needed to find a group of friends. Like I said, Harlem Shake videos were being uploaded every day. As many as 4,000 videos per day, or one every 21.6 seconds. It hit the 1 billion view mark on YouTube just after 44 days of uploading. It was garnering like 20 million views per day. And if that's not a mainstream trend, then I don't know what is. The song was at the top of the charts. It was featured on late night shows. It was featured in sports games, news broadcasts. It was literally everywhere. It was kind of like a mini flash mob that didn't require much effort. I kind of think of it as the distant cousin of the flash mob. The flash mob was pretty popular in the 2000s, and it was heavily organized and wasn't as closely tied to the internet, while the Harlem Shake was tied to the internet and had a shorter lifespan. You didn't need as big of a group for a Harlem Shake video either, although it was more interesting to see if you had more people involved in the Harlem Shake. Ultimately, I think of the Harlem Shake as taking a flash mob and making it something faster, dumber, and more memeable. Flash mobs were really well rehearsed and a public production. The Harlem Shake was like the internet version of let's just press record and see what happens. Like I said, very similar to planking. It was very mainstream. It set the blueprint for viral video trends for sure. Y'all, I'm currently editing my video for this, and I don't know how I could forget the Mannequin challenge. The Mannequin challenge was basically when you would gather a group of people and everyone would stand still in a room or an area as if they were frozen in time. And there was a person who was the dedicated cameraman who would walk through the room very slowly, showing each frozen scene in time. I like to think of it as the baby of the Harlem Shake and planking because there was no movement involved and you just held a pose for a certain amount of time, but there was still a musical aspect to it. And the Ray Shremmerd song was at the top of the charts at the time too because of this viral trend. Super easy, super low risk, but high impact. The following year in 2014, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge had entered the chat. This was kind of the first time we saw a challenge tied to a good cause. It started out as a small-scale fundraiser to promote awareness about Lou Gehrig's disease and encourage donations to research on it. Basically, you recorded yourself yourself doing the activity of pouring a bucket of ice water over your head and getting soaked. A lot of celebrities were doing it. I'm talking Bill Gates, Oprah, former President Bush, Taylor Swift, you get the gist. Everyone wanted to be in on the fun, just like the Harlem Shake and planking. And within months, it became one of the most successful donation-driven social media challenges. This challenge was not only harmless, but had a good cause tied to it. Participants would complete the challenge and then nominate someone at the end of their video. If the nominee didn't complete the challenge in the next 24 hours, then they had to donate money to ALS research. But I mean, from what I remember, people would donate and do the challenge, because it kind of looked bad if you did the challenge just to get out of donating. I think I was a sophomore or a junior at this time in high school, and I remember my entire English class completed this challenge. Again, another indicator of a successful mainstream challenge when it got to your real life and was no longer on the internet. In the mid-2010s, challenges got to be kind of weird again, and they kind of stayed in their place on the internet. I'm thinking of the Grind on Me challenge. This is teenagers doing seductive dance moves, very inappropriate for our age, often with disastrous results. You were just, I don't even know how to explain it. It was mostly guys performing. They were like peacocking. It was slow, exaggerated body rolls, trying to get as close to the ground as you can. And they were trying to look attractive, but they just ended up looking silly. Silly and cringe. While guys were doing that, girls were doing the Kylie Jenner lip challenge in 2015. When Kylie Jenner popped out with plumper lips, teenagers quickly came up with the DIY alternative of taking a shot glass, putting it over their lips, causing suction to make their lips swell so they were also plump like Kylie's. Similar to other challenges, doctors and dermatologists had to issue warnings. Some participants literally experienced permanent tissue damage. It also highlighted the growing damage that social media influencers were implementing with unrealistic beauty standards. As someone with small lips, you see people wanting to have big lips and you are like, okay, I'll just be over here. And then the last two challenges I'll talk about are the most egregious, at least I think. The condom challenge, where the point was you were supposed to inhale a condom through your nose and then pull it back out through your mouth. Why? I still don't know to this day. It was definitely one of the more dangerous and one of the less popular ones, but people were doing it and people were going to the hospital. I can't believe that medical professionals literally had to publicly explain that this was a hazard and could lead to choking or lung infections. And then in 2018 we have the Tide Pod challenge. It started as a joke where people were saying Tide Pods looked delicious, but then people actually started eating them. Whether they were actually eating the Tide Pods or not, they were biting into them, which prompted stores to start locking them up. And the Tide Pod brand and news stations were releasing PSAs. There were public health campaigns, there was packaging restrictions. Between the condom challenge and the Tide Pod challenge, I just had a general loss of faith in humanity. So what have we learned? The combination of the internet and peer pressure are way too powerful, and we as a society just love a little bit of chaos in our lives. Some challenges raised phenomenal amounts of money, some gave us classic memes, and some of them indicated that a lot of us shouldn't be left unsupervised. But at the end of the day, internet challenges defined eras of online culture. And for better or for worse, they made the internet a funnier, weirder place. If you enjoyed this video, you guys, make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. And if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go watch some Harlem Shake videos. I'll see you next time.